Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today with another tag. So I finally finished decorating my tarot room, and so I've got time to record some videos now. So this one is a video response to Imogen at Sapling Tarot, and this video is called On Having a Deck Collection, and I'm not sure if she's made this into a tag or not, but I have seen it on Julie at Peekaboo Rose's channel also, so I thought I would have a go. I think it's a really good video response to do at the moment, because obviously I'm trying to do a low buy no buy year, and it will definitely be a low buy, not a no buy. I've got some Kickstarters coming, and I know there's a couple of indie decks that when they come out I'll be desperate for, so I'm not going to give myself too much of a hard time about that, but I've tried to sort of make the rule that I won't be buying any more mass market decks unless they're astounding. But I have already found myself kind of sitting in bed at night scrolling and almost putting decks in my basket to buy and having to stop myself, almost as if I was in a dream. So it's not easy, is it? So as I said, this is a video response to On Having a Deck Collection, and there are 14 questions that I've written out here. So the first one is, how long have you been collecting? Well, I was given my first deck 40 years ago, but probably for the first 15 of those years I only had that one deck, and then maybe 20, well, around the time my son was born, and he's now 28, I started to get into spirituality and different pathways much more strongly, and I did start to collect a few decks. At the time, Doreen Virtue was very popular, and I bought some of her oracle decks, and I bought a couple of the tarot decks that I've got, like Osho Zen and Anna Kay, and that was probably it really for quite a lot of years. And I would say really my deck collecting has only been a serious thing for the last 4 years. I've had my channel for 4.5 years, and my collection has gone from, I don't know, maybe a dozen decks to over 200 in 4 years. So, it's been 4 years. So number 2 is, what kind of collection do I have? Well, mine's very eclectic. It's predominantly mass market decks. For the first year or so I was buying decks. I didn't even realise that indie decks were a thing, particularly. When I first started my channel, I was mainly reading. I was doing like astrology readings every month. And then I discovered TarotTube, and that there were collectors, and it changed how I bought decks. I suppose only in the last year or so have I really got into indie decks, and only in the last few months have I discovered Kickstarters, and since I have, I've got 4 coming. So I think my collection is very eclectic really. I've got decks from, you know, very pagan decks. I've got an awful lot of very nature-based decks, especially my oracle cards. I've got a lot of medieval decks, a lot of cat decks, a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith based decks. I haven't even tried to read Marseille decks or Thoth or anything else. I'm a Rider-Waite-Smith girl through and through. So yeah, lots of decks. I'd say probably 2/3 mass market and 1/3 indie now. some of which I bought, well, most of which I bought new, some I bought pre-used off eBay or Vinted. But yeah. Prompt number 3, are you a completionist? Well, no, I would say on the whole probably not. As an example, I've got only 3 of the decks from the Seasons of the Witch oracles, but I recently bought the Seasons of the Witch Winter Tarot and I really like that, and I think there's a good chance that I will buy the rest of the decks in that series, but probably not the oracle decks. So I think I could be a completionist with the right decks. Like, for instance, I missed out last year on buying the Folkloric Forest, which I know Imogen spoke about, which I don't know how I missed it, but I'm desperate for it, and I know that there's a water-based one coming out this year. They're going to do the elements, aren't they, the series. There's probably a good chance, if I can, I will collect all of those, but it very much depends on the decks. It's not like I've got to have them. And it was just interesting listening to Imogen, because like she was saying, it's such an emotional thing, deck collecting, isn't it? It's something that brings an enormous amount of joy and pleasure, but something that also can bring about feelings of shame at times and guilt and, you know, have I got too much? Am I being greedy? Am I selfish? Should I be spending my money on different things? It's really difficult, isn't it? Yeah, it's really difficult. So prompt number 4, how do you store and organise your decks? Well, I'm going to insert a little look around my tarot room so that you can see them. So this is how I store my decks, and I sit in between at the table like the high priestess between my towers. So I have these 2 very tall thin bookcases from IKEA, and inside them I've put these boxes that are for storing paper actually, but I think they work really, really well for decks. So on this side I've got tarot cards, and on this side I've got oracle decks, plus lots of books. I also have some tarot decks down here on a box. I also have some oracle decks in this trolley. I also have tarot cards in this trolley, and in the top of this trolley is where the decks are that I'm using at the time. I've got some decks out here on my little stool because I'm about to record a video with those. And I also have some big boxes of decks up the top there on my dresser. So this is my tarot room, and as you can see, looking at everything here, I'm pretty full. I've got kind of no more room for books, no more room really for decks. And this is a nice time to be able to show you my little room actually. Let's just stand back here so you can see. It's almost finished. I've just got to have a mirror and a couple more pictures put up on the wall. Excuse me, but I've been decorating. As you can see, it's all nice and neat and even now. I went for a pale colour because, see, I need to put a mirror up there, and I've got another picture to go up there. But it needed to be a pale colour because I decorated it myself, and it took me ages and I am not the best. So yeah, this is how I store all my decks and all my books actually as well, because at the bottom and the top of there, as well as this bookcase, these are all mostly my sort of factual books and, you know, my most precious ornaments, my candle holders, my altar, which hasn't got a great deal on it at the moment because I've just taken all of the Yule things down. But yeah, this is my little tarot room, which I absolutely love. I'm so happy in this room. Okay, and prompt number 5, my favourite thing about my collection. I'm doing this off the cuff, by the way. I've not written any notes or anything. I've just written the questions down. My favourite thing about my collection is just maybe that I've got... there's a deck for every mood, isn't there? Whatever mood I'm in, whatever I want to look at, whatever style of art I want to look at. Because I should have said really what kind of collection do I have. A lot of my decks are very art based. I really, really like hand painted or hand drawn art. I'm not a collage or a photographic type deck collector. I like real art. So I suppose my favourite thing would just be that actually I can get a deck out and I can look at 78 bits of art, you know, without having to spend lots and lots of money on them to have them on my wall or go and see them in a gallery, even though I love to do those sort of things. I really like sort of collated art type decks. They're one of my favourites. So that would probably be my favourite thing. My least favourite thing, well, that would probably be only around feelings of guilt and shame. Shame that I am so drawn to buy and collect these things, that I've spent such a lot of my money over the last 4 years on these things. I feel guilty about that sometimes. I sometimes think some people in life have so little, and I have an abundance of things here. You know, this little room for me is, all of my joy is in this room. Do you know what I mean? It's everything is in here that I love, but it still at times can make me feel guilty, and that it's indulgent of me, perhaps. I don't know. Yeah, indulgent, overly indulgent. I think that's the worst thing, isn't it? Is just feeling guilty. So prompt number 7 is the biggest category in my collection. Again, I really should have given this some thought, shouldn't I, before I recorded this video. I would say, looking around between my tarot and my oracle decks, I would say the biggest category is nature-based decks. I have an awful lot of decks of flowers, trees, animals, landscapes, botanicals, herbs. Yeah, that would definitely be the biggest category for me. The smallest category, trying to think. Maybe my little medieval or historical type decks. I've got, what have I got? I've got Touchstone Tarot, Golden Tarot, Serpent and Peacock, Medieval Europe Tarot. I'm trying to think, is there any more? that might be it for decks, for my historical ones, and I love all of them. But yeah, that might be it. That might be the smallest category. Do I have a Holy Grail in my collection? Do you know, I can't remember what Imogen said about this. That's embarrassing, isn't it? I'm not really sure what a Holy Grail is. Perhaps she means something that I had just wanted for a long time, and I managed to find somewhere. And if that's the case, it would probably be my Medieval Europe tarot, because I'd seen that on Mad Witch's channel, I think 2 or 3 years ago, and had been desperate for it, and finally managed to track a copy down, brand new copy on eBay somebody was selling. It was, you know, it's probably my most expensive deck, I would say, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm so chuffed that I've got it. So I don't know if that's a Holy Grail or not. Prompt number 10. Do you wish your collection was bigger or smaller, or is it complete? Well, it's definitely not complete. To be honest, in my heart, I wish it were bigger. But realistically, I think what I've got is what I've got room for. I haven't got any more room to expand without going into another room, and I don't want to do that. This is my tarot room. And I think around about 200 decks in total is probably about as much as I can home here comfortably, without me feeling like I've just got decks everywhere and not a place for them. You know, they're all organised, they're all tidy, they all have a home. They're manageable. So as I collect more over time, hopefully not too many more this year, but as I collect more, I will declutter and rehome. Which brings us on to the next prompt number 11. How often do you declutter? Well, like I said, I've had my channel 4.5 years, and in that time I've had 2 really good declutters where I've rehomed, you know, several decks at a time. Just recently, just before Christmas, I had a decluttering session, and I think I had about 10 decks, and I have sold all but 2 of them. So yeah, probably once a year I think is sensible, isn't it, and is a good idea. But really, you know, like a lot of other collectors, I often have a pile of decks that I'm really not sure about, that I haven't used, and I'll sort of think to myself, well, if they don't get a run out this year, if I don't use them, or I use them and they don't resonate, they don't read, they don't talk to me, then they will stay in that pile, and then they will get listed on eBay or somewhere to sell. Prompt number 12 is, do you ever get envious of other people's collections? Well, yes, all the time. All the time. I'm forever seeing decks on people's channels and just being like, oh, I would like that. I would really, really like that. And the thing is, I've done that several times and got the deck and found that it's not for me, and I've rehomed it. So it's a strange thing, isn't it? Until you actually get, you know, like a deck in your hands, you don't always know. Just because somebody else loves it, you don't know that it's going to work for you. And you know, I have got decks that I really like the aesthetic of very much, but they just don't talk to me. But yes, I do get envious. There are many people on YouTube that have huge collections, and like I would really quite like to collect lots of different versions of Rider-Waite-Smith decks, from old and more historical decks to more modern different sorts, even though I have got quite a few. probably got about a dozen actually, different sorts. I could easily collect more of them, but I don't, even though I see them on other people's channels all the time. I tend not to, because I think, well, I've already got lots and lots of those, and yeah, you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So prompt number 13 is, who on YouTube has the best collection videos? Well, I could reel off so many names here, and I don't really want to particularly, because I don't really want to single anyone out and then other people think that I haven't remembered them or thought about them, so it's difficult. But I mean, there's obviously Simon at the Hermit's Cave. Simon has a fantastic collection of decks, as does Nova at Nova Monday Tarot. She has a huge and wonderful collection of decks. Just off the top of my head, just thinking, I suppose I'm always impressed by Kim at Witchy Wallflowers videos. She always seems to find lots of indie decks that I've never even heard of that are fascinating. And Sharon at Trio of Witches, she always has some fantastic deck collection videos. She does a lot of pairing, as does Nova. They do a lot of pairing videos where you get to see tarot and oracle decks together. I think I'm going to have to try not to watch too many of those videos over the next year, because that's often, I watch people's deck collection videos and that's where I'm sort of mentally noting down, well, I like that one and I like that one, and then all of a sudden I'm on the Oneness Emporium, or I'm on the Holistic Health Shop in Norfolk, or I'm on Amazon, or I'm somewhere, do you know what I mean, buying or putting decks in my basket. And the last prompt is, what is some advice you would give to a future or new collector? Well, I think I would say, only buy what you can afford, obviously. Don't go into debt to buy decks just because you feel that you must have it. Don't ever do that. Only buy what you can afford. And if you can afford it, don't give yourself a hard time. You know, if it brings you pleasure and you know that you'll use it, or even if you buy it and it doesn't work out and you don't use it and it's not for you, you can rehome it. You can get something else. It doesn't matter. And I think that something that seems to be common to all of us when we first start collecting decks is that you just sort of, I think, well, at least I did when I first started, anything I saw that I liked, I'd just buy it. And I didn't really have any great sense of my style, what I really liked the most about tarot cards. I knew I liked art-based decks, but other than that, my taste in decks has evolved over the 4 years. And I think these days I'm very, very clear and very certain about what I like and what I don't like. Although I'm sure that will also evolve and change over time, but I'm much more certain, excuse me, these days of what I like and what I don't like. And so I think that that's to be expected, really, that you will make some mistakes earlier on and you'll learn from those things. It seems that people, when they have a channel on TarotTube, they, like me, they go from having a handful of decks to a couple of hundred, you know, overnight almost. I was listening to somebody the other day, I can't remember who it was, but they said in their first year of their channel, they'd bought 50 odd decks. And it's so easy to do, isn't it? I think last year I bought 42 decks in total, and I might have rehomed I rehomed a few also, but But I was just relieved I hadn't bought one a week. Do you know what I mean? So I think if you can afford it, don't give yourself a hard time, but just don't go over your budget. Don't get yourself into debt. And something that I'm now going to start to do, I think is well, I've always listed my decks in one of my grimoires. I've got a list of decks that I purchased and from where and the date. But I think I'm going to try and keep a separate notebook and be a bit more methodical and organised about how I use my deck. So I think every month I'm going to write down the decks that I've used. I'm going to write down the decks I've purchased, the decks I've rehomed, the tags that I've done, any real activities I've done with my decks, and the decks I've used for that month. And then I think that will help me to make the most out of my collection, you know, because I've got a lot of really gorgeous decks that have just sat on shelves and not been used for a couple of years, you know. So yeah, I think the main thing is don't get into debt, you know. Don't exceed what you can comfortably afford, because it's, you know, that fear of missing out. You know, at one time or another, I've even bought decks, not particularly because I liked them that much, but because I knew they would be good decks to use in VRs. And I mean, that's shocking, isn't it? That's awful. That's quite a big admission, really. You know, I can see 2 or 3 decks on my shelves there that I've not really used to read with or done anything much with, but they've come out in quite a few video responses, because I knew that they were kind of popular decks and other people would like to look at them. So that's not a great thing to be doing, is it? So yeah, there we go. I think that's enough of me waffling on about my collection, isn't it? So I hope you enjoyed listening. Give me some feedback. Let me know about your deck collecting, how it goes for you. If you're the same as me with some things, if you're different. And I hope you enjoyed having a little look at my tarot room, which I'm so happy that is all decorated and nearly finished now. I've just got to have a mirror and a picture put up on the wall there properly, and it will be done. So thanks for being here, sending you all my love, and I will see you all again soon.